Hello and welcome to Mammograms and Me, recorded with metro.co.uk. This is a new podcast series talking about the journey of women and breast cancer. I was really surprised to learn that when I had breast cancer, there were a missing million mammograms and up to 10,000 women walking around with breast cancer and they didn't know it. This is why we're having these conversations, breaking down some of the myths. Each week, I'll be talking to experts, women who've gone through it, talking about their journey and getting a deeper understanding of what we need to know. So, joining me today, I've got the amazing Isola Blair, who launched Beyond Cancer. And because you had cancer, and this was in 2010. So, Isola, thank you for joining me on this podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure, and thank you for coming down from Leeds. 2010 was 13 years ago. You built up a cancer organisation. So that means you're never going to forget your journey, right?
No.
And did you realise that when you started Beyond Cancer?
No, it's not anything that I thought about, but by you just saying that is making me think about that my journey will always be there, and it will always remind me. There's sometimes it's more touching than others, depending on who we've met, who's had cancer or gone on a cancer journey, who is no longer with us.
Yeah.
But being part of Beyond Cancer, well, you'll always remember people that have gone, people that have survived cancer and still here today, like myself. So one of the reasons why we set up Beyond Cancer was because when I got diagnosed in 2010, I didn't know anybody who had cancer, and the literature didn't say anything about having pain. It was always a lump or leakage, and I didn't have any of that. But I had a sharp pain. It was really sharp, and it took my breath away. And I was like, oh, for a second, and I had to pause. And that happened a few times. So when I was in bed and I got that pain, it made me think, right, I need to go to the doctor and just find out, what the pain's all about. But
was in the pain in the breast?
Yeah. But on the back of that, I just thought that they'd be thinking that there's nothing wrong with me. It's just a pain, and that's what I thought. It's just a pain, so I'll go and see what happens. So then I got referred to the hospital, our local hospital, and when I went there first, we had a conversation with the consultant and everything else, and he said that they're going to do a mammogram, an ultrasound, and what else was it? Ultrasound and take
a biopsy.
A biopsy. Right. And a biopsy.
But they were going to do that all on the same?
No, it was a process. They told me when I went to see the consultant. He said this is what's going to happen. And so he told me what was going to happen. So I was aware of what I was going into. Right. But I still didn't. Breast cancer never even entered my head. I just thought it was a pain that'd go away, or they'd give me some medication and I'll be sorted. That's the mindset that I went in.
Because it was a pain, because everything that you read said you can feel a lump or as you say, nipple leakage. So I suppose because that message is so strong, if you've got something that's different from that, you wouldn't think, right, I've got breast cancer. You just think, oh, I've got a pain.
So anyway, so the process started. So I had a biopsy, and then the person doing the biopsy asked me why didn't I come sooner, which at that point it didn't make any sense to me. Why didn't I come sooner? I've come now, anyway. And then
so the person actually doing the biopsy told you off, basically.
Yeah.
So why didn't you come sooner?
Yeah, and I was sooner for what? I had a pain and that was it. Anyway, so I had that, and then I had the biopsy and a mammogram. Now, at the time that I had the mammogram and the breast that had the cancer, when they squeezed that machine down, I almost hit the ceiling. It was just so painful.
Really?
Yes, it was just so painful that a tear ran down my cheek.
Wow.
And she was saying, I won't be long. And I knew they had to do it, you know. I wasn't resisting or anything. It was just that it was so painful.
And that's because that was... So it was in your left breast,
Yes.
the cancer. So when they did the mammogram in your right breast, it was uncomfortable. I call it squashing.
Yeah.
So it was uncomfortable but not painful.
Yes.
And in the left breast, it was painful.
Absolutely.
Same with me. So when I had it done and I had the mammogram done, the left breast was painful, and I thought, God, this is painful, and almost sort of put it out of my mind until I got the phone call from the woman from the breast cancer department, and I immediately said to her, and I put this in my book, I said, is it the left breast? And she wasn't allowed to say anything, obviously, over the phone. And I didn't even know where that came from. But obviously, it was because I recall the left breast being painful.
Yeah. Very, very painful.
Yeah.
But like I said, and you just go through it, don't you?
Yeah.
So then they said they had to, I had to come in because they needed to check if it had spread to my lymph nodes.
Right.
So I went into hospital and they had that operation, and they were saying, fortunately, it hasn't spread to my lymph nodes, so that's a plus.
And did they tell you how many lymph nodes they took out? So, because it's quite interesting, isn't it? I thought, you just take out the lymph nodes. And when my mum had breast cancer, they took all of her lymph nodes out. And that's what they used to do back then. Yeah. But for me, they just took out a few just to check.
Yeah, they took a few for me to check. Yeah. So I was ready to go back to work. I thought, I'll go back to work.
Well, after the lymph nodes?
Yeah, no, before I got to the lymph. Yeah, after the lymph nodes, yes. Right. After the operation, I thought, I'll bounce back and go back to work. Wow. Was I wrong? I didn't make it back to work, and then I think it was the first
Why were you focused on going back to work?
I don't know. I think that I enjoyed my work. I worked with young offenders, and I enjoyed working with them, and I enjoyed my job. So that's where my mindset was at the time. You know, I enjoyed my job. No. Not
on your pain or your body or...
No. Anyway, so I didn't go back to work, and then when I went into work, it was quite funny, because when I went into work, so it's kind of a male-dominated environment, and I went into work, and there was some people that were so shocked. Some of the men literally cried. I was like...
Oh, you told them?
Yeah.
What did you say to them? How did you tell them?
So I went in and I said... so my boss had told them, my boss had told them that I've got breast cancer and possibly I might not be coming back. So I went into work, not to work, but I just went in to see them. And some of the men were crying. And I was like, wow. And I said, what are you crying for? And, there was emotional. And then I said, don't cry, I'll be all right. It's not like I've lost my leg. I've got too many shoes to wear. And then that just kind of, I'm not a comedian, but that kind of lightened it. And some of them just had to walk away because they were so upset. Oh, wow. But that's how it was. And I think that showed, sometimes you don't know how much people think about you or care about you until something life-threatening happens.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I received so many flowers, so much. And I was just like, wow. Yeah. It was wonderful, really. Yeah, it makes you stop, right? So did you stop thinking about work then?
Oh, yeah, I stopped, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I stopped.
Started thinking about yourself?
Yeah, and about recovering. And that was a journey. And another interesting thing was, like, when I had to tell my children, I've got a son and a daughter. My son was 10, I think. I was 11, just starting high school. And I said, well, I've got cancer. And he said, and what they're going to do? So I said, they're going to take my left breast away. And I'm going to get a reconstruction. So, and he was like worried, his face. And he said, you're just going to walk around with one boobie. And I said, fortunately not. This is what reconstruction is, and I explained it to him, and he was fine after that. So my daughter was really supportive, and everything came to my appointments and everything with me. So I did.
So you opted for reconstruction and not an implant.
Yeah.
So reconstruction is from your stomach.
Yeah.
That's generally where it comes from. Sometimes they might take it from your back. Yeah. If there's not enough stomach. I had enough in my stomach.
I did.
And you can either opt from that, or you can opt for a implant. And I always say to people, whatever you decide is the right decision for you. There's no right or wrong decision.
I agree.
This is your journey, your cancer journey. You do it your way, however you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
But you opted for a reconstruction rather than having an implant. Why was that?
Well, at the time, I heard that some people who had implants, they were faulty, and they had to have them removed. And that's not only people that had breast cancer, it's like celebrities and other people around that time. And that kind of stayed in the back of my mind. I was thinking, right, if I have an implant and something goes wrong, I'm going to have to start that journey again in a way. So that will take me back at the fact that, you know, potentially I could have chosen to have an implant, and potentially that implant probably wouldn't last forever, like having the reconstruction. And I liked the thought of having my own tissues, you know, and that made me feel more comfortable than having something that my body could potentially reject. So that's why I decided on the reconstruction.
Okay. That's exactly what I thought too. I was like, but I spoke to another woman, a younger woman actually, and she decided that she wanted to have an implant because she felt like her body had let her down, and so she didn't want to take more of her body and move it to somewhere else. So she thought, no, I'd have an implant instead. But it's interesting why sort of women, and you know, and every 5 to 10 years I think you do have to change them anyway, and things have got better than they were sort of 10 years ago with the implants. But yeah, everybody's journey is their own. And so I ate a lot of junk food when I before my operation. I convinced myself that I was having a tummy tuck and that I could eat what I like, because they'll take it all away. It's definitely not a tummy tuck. No. And you know, the surgeon said to me, it's not a tummy tuck, you know, and don't, but I think it was just my way of trying to make myself feel better. My credit, I like, again, I talk about it in the book, where I went to McDonald's, and I don't really eat McDonald's, and my credit card got declined because I've never used it in McDonald's before. And so it was quite embarrassing, but anyway. So you had your reconstruction.
Yes.
And how was that? How long was your operation?
I think it might have been 7 or more hours, 7 or 8 hours.
Mine was 10 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how were you afterwards?
Couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I just about managed to get in and out of bed. It was just...
Wow, you managed to get in and out of bed. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was just... I never expected it. I just... They did say to me, you know, when after this operation, you're going to feel like you've been hit by a bus. Now, it's all right saying that, but I couldn't imagine, you know, what they meant by using those words. But when, after the surgery, I thought, I know exactly what you mean.
Couldn't believe it, right?
I was in shock. I thought, oh my God.
I couldn't believe I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I was like, how can I not walk?
Yeah.
And I was determined that I was going to walk.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't walk. I literally can't walk. It's just so painful. Couldn't put one foot in front of the other. Couldn't go to the toilet.
Yeah.
There was no bodily function. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. You just can't imagine an operation could have that impact on your body. So, but yes, a lot of things.
I mean, when I'm
changed.
walking now, and this is also why I don't mind walking now, because I'm grateful for being able to walk, because I remember when I couldn't walk.
Yeah.
I remember when I couldn't get out of the bed, when it was just a shuffle, and it took me something like 3 months to be able to walk around the block.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember how long it took me to walk.
It's amazing.
But I suppose it didn't register because I had people around me. So I didn't have to cook. My mum was there, so I didn't have to do anything. So I think that I didn't realise how long it took me to recover or to walk, because everything was there, and I spent a lot of time upstairs. So yes, I couldn't really put a time scale on it, but I was grateful that my mum was there to help. She cooked and did everything that, you know, I would usually do. And then, like I said, I had lots of visitors, you know, so yes, I can't remember how long I couldn't walk for. But it's the impact on your body is unreal.
But it's 10 years for you. It's
Yes,
just like,
it is.
so I, you know, for me, it's just, what, a year and a bit. So,
Wow.
but the fact that, you still kind of, do you remember, what else do you remember from that time?
Like, do you mean being in the hospital or coming home?
Yeah, coming home.
It was just strange. It's strange coming home because, you know, like you said, I couldn't walk, but I had to try and walk and get to the car and get in the house and the stairs. I looked at the stairs and I thought, how am I going to walk up them stairs? I just couldn't even imagine it, but I had help. I was saying, like, just kind of put your hand in the small of my back and just kind of ease me so I could lift my legs to go up the stairs. But, you know, I do remember that bit. Like I said, my mum was there.
That's good.
So
lots of family support.
Yeah, and friends.
And how was the healing of your wound? So I've got a scar from there to there. How's your scar?
So mine is from there to there.
Right.
But that's so funny. This experience is so funny, because a friend of mine came to see me and we were talking and that, and she says, "Is there anything that you desperately need?" And I went, "Big knickers." I said, "My knickers are just, it's just rubbing my scar, it's touching my scar," and I said, it's just unbearable. And so...
Did they glue it or did you have stitches?
Stitches.
Oh, you had stitches?
Yeah.
Oh, I had glue. So did they have to take the stitches out?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so you had to go back to the hospital to get the stitches taken out?
Yeah. And
from one side, from one hip to the other?
Yeah, and under my breast.
And under your breast as
yeah,
well? So they weren't dissolving stitches?
No.
Gosh,
no,
and how was that when you had to?
It was really funny because when I because I couldn't see it because my breast had a dressing over it, and every time I went to the dressing clinic, they were going, "Oh, it's beautiful. This is beautiful." And I'm like, "What do you mean beautiful?" And they were going, the stitching and everything, and they said, because there was a doctor and they said he was a perfectionist, and she said I was lucky to get him, and I said, "Do you know what? I've been lucky to get everybody that I've got while I've been in hospital." I said, I feel blessed that I've had them, because some people have had not so nice experiences.
Yeah.
So Mr. Fenn, being a perfectionist, was perfect for me.
Right.
You know, because he talked me through it and he told me about having a scar and what have you. So it was really good. It's really good. So.
And when you had to go to like your cancer nurse and they showed like lots of different pictures, what was that like for you? Because basically you have to reimagine. So you're used to your body all of these years.
Yeah.
You get to the stage where you get to the age where you're falling in love with your body. You're okay. You've come to terms with it. You like your boobs. You like your bum. You know, and then you have to have an operation that's going to change your body. How did you get your head around that?
Because I knew it was going to change my body, but I wasn't sure how much until it actually changed. And I think the thing that bothered me was, it didn't bother me much, but my bras didn't fit me anyway. And so I had one smaller boob than the other. And when I went to the hospital for a visit, they said, right, we've booked you in for you to have a prosthesis to put in your bra. Anyway, so I thought, right, okay, that'll help. One's bigger than the other, so I went down and this woman was there and she took out this prosthesis out of a box, put it in front of me, and I said, oh, it's pink. And she said, oh yeah, they're all pink. So I said, haven't you got any with a bit of colour? And she said, no, it was too expensive to make. And I was just a bit annoyed at that, and a little bit frustrated, thinking, too expensive. It just didn't make any sense, but it was all right for me to have a pink boob.
So that trauma of knowing that you've got to change, you know, there's a big change in your body, and you're expected to replace a missing part of your body with a colour that completely doesn't match your skin.
Yeah. And also going back to when I did see the nurse, and she had all the pictures on the wall of people who have had breast cancer, and it was all about where they were getting cut, what the wound looked like, what the healing looked like, and everything. So I sat there looking, pretty vacant, I think. And she said, "You all right, Isola?" I said, "Well, none of them ladies up there look like me, and scarring on a black person is totally different to what I'm looking at. So it doesn't make any sense. So I can't see what I can see what you're showing me, but I can't see it as if it's me." So we kind of left it at that. And then she passed it on to the consultant. So my next visit to the consultant, they had some pictures of women, black women, that has had breast cancer and how their scarring is and everything else. Unfortunately, I don't suffer from keloid scarring, but that can be, that could be quite upsetting. So you've got this keloid scarring and you've never had it before, but it can be upsetting. So not being able to see yourself in pictures that they've got to show you about how you're going to look after your operation doesn't help you.
I mean, it's such a vital point, right? Because you're going through one of the most traumatic things you're going to go through. You've been told you've got breast cancer, your body's going to change. You've been given a pink prosthetic. You've been shown pictures of women that don't look like you. But yet still you have to get your head around the fact that you're going to have this operation. And I mean, I had a wonderful breast cancer nurse, Amy, and she was showing me all of these pictures, and she was just flicking through. And I kept thinking, I hope she gets to a black woman soon. Do you know what I mean? Because I need to understand what I might do. So I was thinking, I hope, and just kept going for ages. And then I had to say, do you have any pictures of black women, please, so I can have a look? Because it's vital, right? Because you just want to know how other women have gone through it and what it might look like. To get your head around all of that is a big deal anyway. So it's such a vital, and I'm pleased now that all hospitals should now be offering women of colour prosthetics that match their skin tone. It's so vital, right, that we have prosthetics that match our skin colour, especially when it's a vital part of our body.
Absolutely.
And you want to kind of live life with as much as possible without worrying too much about it. But I am really pleased that now all hospitals, and for anybody who's listening, if their hospital doesn't offer them a prosthetic that matches their skin tone, they can absolutely request one, and it's something that has now gone out to all hospitals. So I'm really pleased about that.
That just sounds pleased. I'm pleased just to hear that. That it's out there, because I know it wasn't out there for me.
No.
So, but yes.
So something's happened in 10 years that has changed that, which is good.
Good.
And I think it's, to be honest, I also think it's people speaking out. Like
yes.
women like you speaking out and saying, well, this is my experience, my lived experience, this is what I went through, and this is how to make my cancer journey better. And I suppose, I mean, is that part of the reason why you started Beyond Cancer?
Yes. So there was, what happened there was, so I'd had my operation and everything else, and prior to that I didn't know anything about cancer, because in the black community it's not something that's talked about. So if
Still
it's
a bit of a taboo, isn't there?
Yeah, if it's talked about in, you know, some families might talk about it, but you know, it was nothing that ever came up in my family or friends or anything. We didn't have that discussion. And so after me going through what I've gone through, I thought, wow, if I didn't know anything, how many women out there have no idea and they don't know? And it was that made me think, right, we need to make them aware. So Pat Case was also one of the founders of Beyond Cancer, and she got diagnosed through having a mammogram.
Right.
So...
And was that after you?
Yeah, just after me. She was doing went for her routine mammogram. So we got together and we had a conversation, and we were saying, you know, this is what I think. There's people out there that doesn't know anything about cancer. And, you know, to then suddenly get a diagnosis. What do you do? Where do you go? You know, it's quite a shock. So we had a conversation, and we thought, oh, well, we need to do something. But we started off with sort of, you know, got a few more people to come and join us, you know, and then we thought about the names and stuff, and then we just came up with Beyond Cancer. And then the first event that we had a ball at the Hilton Hotel, and the tickets were sold out. Wow. The place was absolutely full of people wanting to come and wanting to find out, and find out at an event where they're enjoying themselves as well. And then we choose our speakers, you know, for the event, and it was just amazing. On the back of us being diagnosed and recovering, on our recovery, we've put this charity together. We've had an event that was just, like I said, amazing. It just blew us away. We didn't really expect so many people, but they were there.
Shows you that there's a need.
Yes, and so that's where we started. We have a ball. We used to have a ball every year in May. It's always in May, because I got diagnosed in May and she got diagnosed in May, so we just kind of did it, and May was a good time as well. So we have a ball every year. However, when we leading up to COVID, we've only had one ball, which was this year. After coming out of COVID, we managed to have a ball this year in May, and that was well attended and went down really well, and people are asking, when's your next one, and are you going to have
to come
one?
To your next one, invite me.
I will, absolutely. First on the list. And then also what we do, we have in September, October, we have we was at St Aidan's Church, and we had the celebration of life. So we put it out there. It's not, we don't advertise it that much, but people come. So it's about we've got a tree of life, the trees that light up, and then as people come in, we give them a body or a heart, you know, the cardboard shape, and they write the names of the loved one that's passed. Now, it is cancer because it's part of Beyond Cancer, but it's not just about people who they've lost to cancer, it's people who they've lost, and that is another event that is well attended. You know, we do really well with.
How is it working in having an organisation and working with people with cancer? Because it's very difficult, right? When I talked to Leanne, who runs Black Women Rising, she said that working with all these kind of amazing women, and then sometimes they die, and she had a breakdown at one stage because it was just too much. I mean, number one, it's triggering, right? When you hear about somebody who's got breast cancer or other cancers, it is triggering. It brings back memories. But to actually kind of dedicate a bit of your life and your spare time to working with people with cancer, how do you cope with that?
I suppose you have to. I have to, because I know that I've had my journey, but I want to help this person who might not have a lot of support. Sometimes they don't want anybody else to know. But because I'm helping and we're supporting, because there's 5 of us in the board and we all have people that contact us to say somebody's got cancer and stuff, and then we have a, we look at it, when we have a meeting, we look at, we find out, we send a message out, do they need anything, if there's any support, we're available, and we do the best that we can do to support them. But yeah, it's just something we do.
It's amazing. Well done. Do you think that we are breaking down or overcoming some of the taboos that exist in the community?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I think it was about a month ago, an Asian lady contacted us saying that she's got breast cancer and she's going through treatment and stuff. So she'll ring me, or if she pops into my mind, I think, let me give her a ring and see how she's doing. And I think we all do that in our own way. And we've had men as well. We've had a couple of men that have come who've had prostate cancer. And that's been kind of eye-opening as well. Yeah.
Because actually prostate cancer now is just a blood test.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to kind of spread that message out to men to say, look, it's just a blood test.
And we do encourage that, when we have our ball, we've always encouraged men, to go and get tested. And we had one guy, I think he came to our second ball, and when we're talking about, it's not just about women, it's about men too, and he was not having it. He just wasn't having it. The following year when we had the ball, he didn't come, and he had prostate cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I think even if we plant that tiny seed, by planting small seeds, you hope to see it grow. Yeah. But if it's not there, if there's no seed planted, they're not going to always think about it. And then there was another woman, she was on her husband, and she kept telling him and kept telling him and everything until, he eventually went, and he found out that he had prostate cancer. But I think it's fear. Yeah. It's the fear
of what might happen.
Yeah.
Rather than just go peace of mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah.
So tell me about you now and how you feel about you, your body. What is it like, Isola? Living in Isola's body, beyond cancer body. What is it like?
Some people worry about the cancer coming back, but I don't worry about it. I just have to live in the moment, and if it happens, I know more now than I did then. So I think that...
Are you on any tablets?
No.
Okay.
No. Because yours is just a year ago. You used to be on for 5 years, won't you? Yeah. I just try and embrace life. And I'm very much into positive thinking.
Good.
And currently, so I told you that I was ill in 2020, and when I came home and recovering, I've knitted for 45 years.
Oh, really?
I've knitted.
Can you crochet as well?
Oh, this is the story.
Oh.
So, whilst I was resting in bed, I was knitting dishcloths, but I was just flying through them because I knit pretty quickly. And I watched TV and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to learn to crochet. Anyway, I've learnt to crochet. It's the most therapeutic thing that have done in a long time. I make bags. I've sold them. I've made some amazing.
Where do you sell them?
So I've done 3 stalls. The first stall was very nerve-wracking, so I had to bring my friend with me because I was thinking it's like putting myself out there, and then I felt that potentially there could be some criticism, you know, and I just felt I just needed that edge. So my friend came, and we were doing well. Once she started it, I was like, oh yeah. And then I've done 2 more, you know, by myself, and it's been lovely, and you know, the people we meet and conversations and stuff like that. So it kind of opened another door for me. But it's more for me the therapeutic side, where I can just sit and relax and just do my crochet. I brought it on the train with me. I don't go anywhere without my crochet hook.
Oh, I'll have to have a look.
So that's sort of me, what I do. I'm currently not working at the moment because I was ill in 2020, and physically I wasn't able to go back to work. I didn't physically have the energy to be back at work, so I'm off work right now, but hoping to go back to work in January. So I've got plenty of time to do whatever I want to do.
And tell me something different from before cancer that you did, or you know, or advice that you'll give, like before, so Isola before cancer and then beyond cancer, so after cancer. So is there one thing you've learned or would advise people?
So like I said, before cancer I didn't know anything about cancer, nothing at all, anything, just those little lumps and so after cancer and beyond cancer, I'm more aware of people. I'll encourage them, you know, the best way I can. I remember I was at church, and this woman said that she had to go for a smear test, and she said, but I'm not going. And I said, why? And she said, because I'm not sexually active. And I said, having a smear's got nothing to do with that, you know. And I said to her, the reason why you go for smears, potentially you could have cancer, and if you go for your smears and they detect it there and catch it early, it's a positive. But if you're not going for the wrong reason. And I found that at church there was quite a lot of women that thought like that, which I was quite shocked at.
Interesting.
You know, that because they're not sexually active, they don't want to go for the smear. But I have got people that have come back and they said, well, I went. And I said, I'm so glad. So I always encourage people to go for their mammograms when they get the letter through the post, to go. And we always encourage people, if you feel any pain whatsoever, or anything, a lump or a pain, anything, it's better to go and them say it's nothing.
That's right.
Than not to go at all.
Right.
And then one woman came back, she went, oh, they said I've got lumpy boobs and there's nothing there. I said, well, that's a plus, but at least, you know, if you've got lumpy boobs and you've gone and there's nothing there, then it puts your mind at
and
rest.
also they know for next time, because they will keep your records, and then if they do another squashygram, you know, they'll have something to compare it against. So it's never wasted. Did you lose any friends along the way? Did you dump some friends?
I think I just had a different journey. It was just the way my journey was. So I was brought up in church and went periodically. And in 2009, I just had this urge that I just needed to go back to where I needed to be, and that was in church. So I started to go back to church. So
this was before you were
before I was diagnosed. But so I then went back to church, and I remember going back to church, and I didn't go out. I went to church and everything. But in hindsight, when I look at it, because I was out partying, I'd be partying every weekend. I'd be out enjoying life and everything. At work they kept saying, we're worried about you because you're out every weekend. I said, I'm enjoying life. And, you know, that's how I was enjoying my life. So I'd gone back to church in 2009 and then I got diagnosed in 2010. So in my mind, I was thinking I needed to make that transition to calm down and be prepared for what was about to come. So that's how I see it. Because if I was out partying and everything, my body would be tired as well. So I think that I was in a good frame of mind, you know, and I do feel comfortable at church. And like I said, that was part of my upbringing. You had to go every Sunday. We went,
I remember every Sunday.
Yeah, every Sunday, and Sunday school and summer school. You just had to go. So, you know, that's where I went back to what I know. So then when I got diagnosed, you know, the friends that I used to party with, they all came to see me and stuff. But I just had some time out, just not partying like I partied, and I just needed my body to rest, because I don't think we realise how much going out and partying has an effect on your body. So
I agree. I mean, there's a one of the chapters in my book is the body needs a rest.
Yes.
And that is about my cancer journey. Thank you so much for joining me. Do you love your body?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Well, I went on holiday last year. I was 60 last year. So I went on holiday.
Don't look 60.
I put a bikini on. I thought, do you know what? I'm putting this bikini on. I know I've got a scar down there.
Yeah.
But I thought, do you know what? I'm putting it on.
Good.
And I did. And I think that was a massive step for me, because, you know, I have got a scar down the centre of my stomach. I have got my scars. And your scars remind you of where you've been and where you've come from. And I thought, right, I'm putting this bikini on, and put the bikini on, and I felt amazing.
Well done, you.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I did.
And I understand completely about the scars. I did a speech and I was quoting the words from This Is Me from The Greatest Showman. And I love that song. I think it's so empowering.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not ashamed of all my scars. And I think, as you say, it's who we are, and being proud of our bodies.
Yes.
Is something that we can all do with a bit more of.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Isola, so for those people, especially in Leeds, who maybe are being diagnosed, or a friend, how can they get in contact with you?
They can go onto the website beyondcancer.org.uk, or inquiries at Beyond Cancer, and we will always pick up the messages.
That's amazing. Thank you for all the work that you do, and for all the people you're helping on their journey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.